Excel Highway, your one-stop shop for all your spreadsheet needs. Today's video is sponsored by Connecting. In today's video, I want to share with you a task management system I built in Google Sheets you can use with your team. The file is shared between the team members for easy collaboration. The file is comprised of 4 sheets: New Task, a sheet for adding new tasks; Task Search, a sheet for your team to search their tasks and update the status; Task Log, this sheet holds all the tasks that are added, plus their updated status; and Parameters sheet, which is used to hold data used by other sheets. Let's deep dive into how these sheets are built. New Task. This sheet is acting as a user form where you can control the input. Let's review each cell. Title, let's say New YouTube Video is your title. The status, this is a drop-down list coming from the parameters. New. Description, record the video and post. Start date, this needs to be a date, so I can't put anything that's not a date. So let's say this is the start date, and the due date, let's say, is, give myself another week. Assign to Emma Davis, and comments test. Now, these cells are obviously just inputs. This is a drop-down list. I'll show you how to do it if you're not familiar very easily. You click on data, data validation. You have this pop up. You click on add rule, drop down from range, go over here, select the range. Now I like to leave the last digit blank, and that way it just checks the entire range, and that's it. You click on OK, and you build a drop-down list. Congratulations. How to validate that this is a date? Also very easy. Again, data validation. And you can see date is valid. So you have that as a criteria. So if you create, let's say this, let's create a new cell, add rule, you select, instead of drop down text, you see you have a lot of options. Text contains things, valid email, valid is valid date. And I always like to check the reject the input as a rule. Okay, so that's how I created this form. Once the cells are filled, the user will click on the Add New Task button over here. After clicking on the button, the task is added to the task log sheet and the form is cleared. So after I click this button, a new line will appear all the way down here. Oh, I already tested it. Let's go ahead and delete that. So a new line should appear over here on the bottom and the form would be clear. Let's click on the button. Running script, get this pop-up message, new task created. The form is cleared, and I have a new row with everything I have. Plus, I have the submit date, which is the time now, who submitted it, which is my email, and the row number, which I'm going to use later. So these are added to the task log. Today's video is sponsored by Connecting. Connecting is an app that simplifies all of your business operation management. It's a perfect solution to manage, train, and communicate with your non-desk employees. Using Connecting's desktop view, I have full access to all of my team's tasks. Here on the dashboard, simply scroll over to Quick Tasks, and you can see your team's dashboard. I can create new tasks and assign them to one or more of my team. Let's show you how very easily. Add a task, task title, YouTube video, assign to me, and I can also assign it to 2 people, either as a group task or separate task for each. I'll just assign it to me. Add more details. Record and post, please. I can attach a document. I can specify a location where this task will take place. You can see it could be a one-off task or a recurring task. Set up the start date and set up the due date. Even assign a label, general test, or it could be YouTube. And publish the task. You can see immediately it has its own label, so it's easy to track. I can view all the tasks and I can see which tasks are overdue. You see this in red, the due date. I can also click on this. It will show me all the overdue tasks. And you can see you have all sorts of options like sending reminders, change dates, or mark as done if they're done. Now what's also nice is people can add comments. Did you see this task? And of course people can respond, like, reply, etc. What's also very nice here is the subtasks. So the subtasks, I need to edit it. Click on edit, click on subtask. These are one-liners that can be used as, sort of small tasks. So they could be research, record, edit, and post, for example. And then when I enter this in the subtasks, I can just mark which ones are done. Okay, and then you can see them as a subtask 3 out of 4, due date assigned to, and the status itself. Of course, I can update, mark as done. Here's how it looks like from the employee's perspective on the mobile app. You can click on the quick tasks on the top, go over to the new task, the YouTube video. You can see the details, start time, due date. Click on subtasks, complete, mark as done, and even leave a comment. The task management system is very friendly to use and has lots of more features on top of what I showed you. I highly recommend you start using Connect Team for your daily operation. Use my affiliate link in the description. You can start now for free. Let us take a look at the script that is used to create this. So, to create a script, you have to go to Extensions, App Script. This opens this tab, and by default it looks something like this. It has function untitled, and of course you can change the names. I like to rename it to whatever I want, for example new task, and of course rename the functions. So this is the function to submit data to the database sheet. I called it submit data. And this is the code to assign the sheet names. So first of all, my Google Sheet var is a spreadsheet, get active spreadsheet. And just to not use this again, you can use a variable and just reference that to get the sheet's name, new task, and task log. So this would be the source, this would be the destination. So two sheets are operating here. Another variable is the blank row data sheet, which is what we referenced before. Get last row, which returns the last row plus 1 because I want the next row. Then I have a loop to fill all the data. So loop using for a new variable I from 2 through 8, so less than 9, I plus plus. And basically I want to go from row 2 through row 8 and copy each cell over here to each column. So sort of transposing actually. So you could see that data sheet get range blank row, which is the row that I'm going to be pasting, I minus 1, because here it starts with 1 and I want it to be pasted over here, the title, that's the first one. Set value the source form get range I2, meaning row and column 2. So this would be here. Dot get value. So this part will return the value from the source. This is going to be set as the value to that range. So again, I have a loop that goes row by row and pastes column by column in the destination. All right. This function will set the value of the date of when I posted this task. So datasheet get rank blank row, same blank row, I minus 1, because when I'm finishing this loop, I is equal 8, right? So I want over here, all right, so I want it over here, sorry, I equals 9. So I want it over here as the date, set value, new date, set number format. So this is a very straightforward method of adding a date in a specific format. Then I want the email address of the person running the script. So I'm using session.getActiveUser.getEmail. This is something I just pulled online. This will return in the column I the email. So column I is just the column next to the submit date. Then I'm going to give this pop-up message, new task is created. Spreadsheet app.getUI.alert. This gives a pop-up message to the user. Maybe I could have done that at the end, but just did it over here. Then I'm going to assign the row number formula. So var cell equals datasheet get blank row I plus 1, which will bring the last one. And the formula is a very simple one. So cell set formula in brackets, which is the formula equals row number. So I just want to add a row number here. This gives me a unique identification for each task. I don't want to use names, dates, whatever. This is unique and very simple, row number. You can't have two. Lastly, I want to clear the form, so loop to clear the data. Similar to here, using the same method with the for loop, only this time I'm just using clear for the range. So this would clear row by row. Okay, so that's how you create the code itself. If you want to, and I hope you do, want to learn how to create this nice picture, insert drawing, and then you can, this button, image. Okay, you can just search, and I search for task. And I have this one, click select. You can play, of course, with the dimensions. Click this button to add a task, to add the text, sorry, new task, highlight that, go over here, enlarge it, centralize it, do whatever you want, and you can click on save and close, and lo and behold, I have something similar. Last step, I want to assign the script. So the name of the function is submit data. So I'm going to click on these three dots, assign script, or I can show you here, and submit data. Click on OK, and then from now on, every time you press the button, this happens. And just so it's nice, I just added a white cell, so it has a white background behind that. Okay, so that was new task, form, button. And the reason I've created this button is because I don't want people to mess around with the task log. I want the task log to be sort of a database that people don't touch, but they just operate in the new task and the task search. That's the whole idea. Let's jump into task search. So this sheet will show the lines from the task log based on your search. You can select a specific person or a specific status and see all the tasks. Leaving it blank will show all. These two lists are similar from the parameters sheet. So I'll show you. If I select John Smith, I only see John Smith tasks. If I select status is done, only done. If I remove John's name, I'm going to see everyone that has that status, and if I'm going to remove the status, I will see basically everything. The list is generated based on a combination of sort, filter, and search function. You can see it here. So basically, search, I'm using search instead of just using the default column and criteria that the conditions that the filter has included, because search allows me to basically look for things that are blank or close. So if I leave it blank, it searches for everything, because I do want the option for the user to just to see all. So those are the two searches. They search for the assigned to in column F and the status in column B. That's the second part. Now, tasks A2 through J, that's the range that I'm going to be returning. And after the filter is done, I also have a sort here that's going to be sorting it by column 5, true meaning is ascending, and column 5 is the due date. So I want to see my tasks in a ascending order of due date. Of course, the higher up, the more critical they are to be completed. So technically, it looks like a complicated formula. It's a combination of 3 nested formulas, but once you understand the logic, it's pretty simple. That's all we have here, and you can see it returns everything through A through J. Now, what's important here is that, again, instead of, which could have been done, I could have just built this and people would go over here and change things, but I didn't want that to happen. I wanted this file to be able to control the user input, so people don't make mistakes, don't delete things, don't change things that they're not supposed to change. So that's the main idea here, sort of have interactions for people that outside of the actual database. So the next possible step here, if you can just see your tasks if you want, but you can also update the status. So for example, let's say I'm looking at this task and I want to update the status to active. All I got to do is make changes in row 5 in this area, click on the row that I want to change, and click on update task. And you can see now that it's showing as active. I can change the assigned to John Smith for this one, and I won't see it anymore because now the filter needs to be John Smith if I want to see that line over here. So these columns can be changed. These should not be, because they are they're historical historical data, and also the row number shouldn't be changed because that's part of the method. So let's see how that works, how the code works. So let's go back to our code. Let's go back to update task. So now, same beginning as before, we're declaring the spreadsheet that we're working on, and we're declaring the sheets that we're going to work on. This time it's task search and tasks log. And we also have the selection. This will basically give us back the cell that I'm pointing at. So when I'm pointing at here, no matter which column, I can identify that I'm in row 10. Or sorry, row 7 here, which is actually row 10 in the database. Didn't want it to have the same number. So now I'm going to get the active row and row to update. So I'm calling active row as the selection, which is the cell I'm selecting. Get current cell dot get current row. That's going to give me back the row number. Log row equals tasks dot get range active row 10 dot get value. So here I want to return this number. That's why I call them 10, which is this. See, count 10. So basically I want the row number, this number to be the row number. I want to check if the selected row is empty. So if the length of log row is 0, this means I didn't select a task with align with the task. So you get this pop-up message and the code breaks here because there's nothing to process. You're trying to reference a row that it's not really a task. So the code ends, you return, so we're shutting down the rest of the code. But if all goes well and you do have something there, then we're going to a loop to update the data from row number 5. Similar loop that we used before with the for, I between 1 and 7, selected row equals active row, that's a new variable, and I want to switch between row 5 to the existing row whenever there's any data. So if tasks.getRange 5i, I being the column, so if there's any get value.length, if it's greater than 0, so there's something there, selected row is equal 5. Datasheet.getRange log row.i.setValue task getRange. Basically, this is going to set the value that I get from either this row or this row. Now, theoretically, I could have added just here that only in this case, maybe it's even better coding, that only if the value here is greater, then I don't select the row, I just run the pasting. But I just did it this way. Of course, things can be done better. So essentially, like before, it sets the value of the selected row and the value of what I'm trying to update. So either the row that I'm clicking on or the row number 5, and it will set the value in datasheets log row I, which is the row that row that I'm going to paste the data. And lastly, I'm going to clear row 5, so tasks at range 5 I clear. So that's the entire code, these two. By the way, when you write the code, just remember you always have to save before, and you're going to also have to, first time you click on any of the buttons, you're going to have to allow Google Sheet to run the code, the auth script. You'll see it's not very complicated. These two sheets are the main sheets, new tasks and task search. They do most of the heavy lifting. This sheet is used as your task database and stores the new tasks but all the updates. I recommend not to work on this sheet in order to eliminate any user errors. You can of course build a dashboard based on the data here to analyze your team's task. You can build custom filters, but again, I really recommend you either use the task search, which should be very good, or you build a pivot table based on this, or another report, whatever you want. But I do recommend you separate between this and any other method of showing the data. Parameters sheet, you have the employees for the drop-down list, and you have the drop-down list for the status. That's all I have for this sheet. Let's quickly recap what we reviewed today. An employee task management system built on Google Sheets. The system can be shared with other people you are working with for easy collaboration. There's a user form to input new tasks and a search sheet to view tasks and update them. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe to my channel so you won't miss the next videos. Feel free to comment if you have any questions or thoughts. Have a good one.